Morning, everybody. Just gonna kind of wait a couple minutes here while we let a couple people join us. But today's topic is going to be on understanding IDIQs, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts. Yeah, it's a really interesting concept, and again, we'll just kind of jump into it. But it's important to know, why they're can be great for the government and great for you as well. So with that, let me just talk to you a little bit about who we are. We're the Apex Accelerator, Monterey Bay Apex Accelerator, formerly PTAC. Locally, we're administered by the Monterey County Business Council, and this program has been funded by the Department of Defense since 1985. And there's 96 centers across the United States and in the U.S. territories, and there's 7 within the state of California. And the mission of all Apex Accelerators basically is to promote economic opportunities. Promote economic growth and increase employment opportunities in the local markets that we serve. And we do that by facilitating your access to the government marketplace, whether that's federal, state, or local. So this just kind of shows you our service area. We're this teal area in the middle of the state, Central Coast, Central Valley. These other colored areas are other Apex accelerators. So depending on where you might be joining us today, you might be in one of these other areas. So just reach out to them. They're all very knowledgeable people and willing to help you out. So these are the services that Apex Accelerators provide. First and foremost, it's one-on-one counseling. We want to learn about your business, what you've done in the past, what you're doing now, and then your goals in the government marketplace, so that we can kind of develop a plan for you. And pre-award assistance is what we spend most of our time on, is helping you to teach you where to go out and find opportunities, reviewing the notices that you're looking at, and so that you understand them and you can respond to them correctly. And then we kind of talk to people a lot about capability statement, which is a marketing piece that has been evolved over time, that's used heavily in the federal marketplace, and you're seeing more adoption of them in the state government, as well as large prime contractors that do a lot of work for the federal government like to see capability statements. Post-award assistance, basically, conflicts may arise once you've been given a contract, so we can kind of advise you a little bit on what to do about that. Talk to you about debriefs, what those are, why they're beneficial to you, what they can do and can't do. And then talk about protests, which is an interesting topic, but really depending on the size of the contract, really whether it's really worth your time to protest something. Outreach events, we're out in the valley at various events talking about who we are, what we do. Typically, we're doing some trainings, kind of like we're going to do today, on a certain topic while we're there. But we'll continue to be doing, trainings both in person and like today on webinars. Bid matching is a service that we provide, which is basically we have a third-party vendor that has developed a system that goes out and literally searches thousands of government websites every single day looking for opportunities. What we do is we work with you, set up a profile of your company, upload it into their system, and then that system will go out on, like I said, on a daily basis and look for any matches that exist between these procurement websites and your profile. Saves you just the time of going and looking for all these different websites. And actually sometimes too, it can find opportunities with government entities that maybe you never even thought of would be an opportunity for you to sell to. So it's a great tool. We help people navigate certification programs. There's a lot of certifications available out there, so we coach people on whether they make sense for their business or not. And then talk a lot about the qualifications for these. There is a lot of misperceptions with these, so we kind of walk you through that and then kind of walk you through basically the supporting documents that are required in order to obtain a certification. And the great thing about us is that there's no fees or commitments. We're your tax dollars at work. And at this time, I'd just like to introduce a great strategic partner of ours that also charges no fees or commitments because it's your tax dollars at work. It's Sharon Mikesell with the Cal Coastal Small Business Development Center.
Great, thank you, Victor. As Victor mentioned, I'm Sharon Mikesell, the program manager with the Cal Coastal Small Business Development Center. You probably know us better as Cal Coastal SBDC. A little bit about the SBDC network. We're made up of about 1,000 centers across the country. We are in the Central California network and provide small businesses in Monterey and San Benito counties with no fee, one-on-one business advising, training, and access to comprehensive information and resources. And we like to help businesses start, grow, and succeed. Our services provide general business technical assistance like financial education, social media marketing tips, business plan guidance, and all of this helps clients get started with government contracts of all sizes. Many of our clients that we are finding now are starting with smaller contracts that include cities, counties, special districts, and then they move on to state and federal contracts, and sometimes as subcontractors, that's how they get started. We can provide services at no fee for our clients, thanks to the support of our partners that include the U.S. Small Business Administration, the California Governor's Office of the Small Business Advocate, local partners that include the City of Salinas, and the Monterey County Business Council and the Workforce Development Board. Of course, we can't forget our host and small business lender, Cal Coastal Rural Development Corporation. And so if you're not already our client, please visit our website, calcoastalsbdc.com. If you're in Monterey and San Benito County, click that Get Started button and follow us on social media. Thanks for joining us today, and I'm going to throw it back over to Victor to start today's presentation.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, take advantage of the SBDCs. I mean, they're a great resource for you to help grow your business. One thing I'll mention is this presentation, you'll be sent the hard copy of it, and then also a link so you can view a recording of it if you want to go through it again. So let's just kind of jump into today's agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about just IDIQ, some facts, and then types of IDIQs that are used a lot in construction, and then some other type of IDIQs that are used in the government marketplace, and then just some things to remember. So really, what is an IDIQ? So IDIQ, of course, is the acronym for Indefinite Delivery, Indefinite Quantity contracts. And as you can see here, it says indefinite contract an IDIQ contract provides an indefinite quantity of services for a fixed time. Under the IDIQ contract, the government places delivery orders for supplies or task orders for services against a basic contract for individual requirements. So what does that kind of really mean? Basically, it just means that it's a contract. Again, indefinite delivery. The government knows that they need to buy something over a period of time. They know exactly when they'll need it and what quantities. And so that's where IDIQ comes in. Why is it important? It's more efficient for the government. They know that they'll have needs coming up, and it's just easier for them to issue an IDIQ contract rather than every time they need to purchase something, go through this process all over again. It's a good opportunity for vendors because if you do get an IDIQ contract, you know then that every time that government has that need, they're going to come to you because you're the one that is the contract holder. It does limit opportunities for new vendors. So again, if the government is buying goods or services through an IDIQ, it does limit opportunities for new people to sell to the government. And so per that, this last bullet point is that it becomes then maybe a good subcontract subcontracting opportunity for you. Many of these contracts, as you'll see as we go through this presentation, are related to construction. Most, if not all of these IDIQs in construction are for a company being the general contractor, who then typically is going to need subcontractors to complete the work for the government client. So that creates good subcontracting opportunities for other companies by selling to the IDIQ holder. So here's some more facts about IDIQs. Basically, again, it's a contract with a minimum and maximum amounts, and the minimum amount is typically relatively small. It might, and for some, it might be something like, $500, and the maximum amount might be, depending on which one it is, as we talk about them, might be, say, 5 million. The second is that the delivery dates and quantities are not agreed on at the inception. Basically, what you're agreeing to do is deliver the product or services in the future, and perhaps at agreed upon price. Sometimes not, but the thing is that they've already selected you as someone who's going to deliver that product or service. IDIQs are a binding contract, so if you are issued a IDIQ, and depending on which type it is, then you're obligated to deliver the products or services that you've agreed to. IDIQs, so terms. So for products, if you have an IDIQ for products, they call it a delivery order. You're given a contract that basically says that, okay, for the next 5 years, basically, you're going to be the ones delivering these products to us. So when they want to order the products, they don't issue a new contract. They give you a delivery order. Same thing in, say, for services, you have a multiple year contract, then they basically give you a task order, which then details the services that you'll provide for them for that. It's important to note that IDIQs, there's a base year plus options. So typically it's 1 year base year and then 4 more years of options. That gives the government the opportunity, as well as you as the contractor. If you don't perform well in that base year, then the government basically then can get out of the contract with you and then set up a IDIQ with another vendor. IDIQs, sometimes there's a single award IDIQ, which means that there's indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, but they're going to give that contract only to one company to do that. It's real common that you'll see that they'll have, and we'll talk about more of this in a second, multiple awards. So basically they'll say, we're going to pick these 5 companies, and these 5 companies will basically provide us with the services that we're going to need over the next, say, 5 years. With set-asides, and set-asides, if you don't know, is when the government basically says, we've done our market research, we have goals, what we want to increase the amount of spend that we do with, say, small businesses, woman-owned, veteran, 8A, hub zone, etc. They can set aside these IDIQ contracts specifically to one of those socioeconomic groups. So that can be a huge advantage if you have one of those certifications for those socioeconomic groups. So again, IDIQs are commonly used in construction. Hold on a second, let me get a sip of water here. Excuse me. And these are the primary IDIQs used in construction. I'm going to talk about each one of these here in a second. But there's a job order contract, commonly called a JOC. single award task order contract, SATOC, multiple award construction contract, multiple award task order contract, and performance-oriented construction activities, a POCA. So again, they're all construction related and they're very similar, but there's slight differences, and we'll go into each one and kind of see what they are. So with a jock order contract, it's a single award. So they picked one company and say, okay, you're going to be the company that is going to do that, provide a certain services to it. It's used a lot for repair work, maintenance, emergency construction, small construction projects, etc. And it's used a lot by cities, towns, schools, and then the military. You know, they know again that things are going to happen. And so rather than, again, when they say there's an emergency, going out and trying to find somebody, they've already have somebody lined up to do the work. Again, it's a good, creates good subcontracting opportunities for many firms to sell to whoever is that jock contract holder. So with a single award task order contract at SATOC, it's kind of like a jock, because again, they picked one company that's going to provide this construction services to the government. These are more for though actual construction projects, new construction, or say remodel, not so much repair, maintenance, kind of emergency construction projects that you would see in a job contract. Because of that, you can see it that it's they're higher dollar value projects, and they include more design work. So basically, they want you to oftentimes design something and then actually build it. And it's used primarily by the military. So then you go to a multiple award construction contracts, MAX. And so with these multiple award IDIQs, the government, what they'll do is they'll put out a request for proposal for a MAC contract. And the idea behind it is they know that they've got, again, a lot of construction projects that they need to complete in the future. And so what they'll do is they'll pick typically around 5 companies in order to meet their needs. So that's where it comes into multiple awards. Rather than, again, each time there's a construction project, go through that whole vetting process and proposal process. They do it once, they pick 5 companies, and then it's only those 5 companies that'll be awarded construction contracts. Again, it'll be that there'll be a one base year with options. So again, if a company goes in there is one of these 5, say MAC holders, but they go in and mess up a project, and more than likely then they will not get renewed for the following 4 years, but they'll still have, the government will still have those other 4 companies to do the projects they have. Typically, these projects are larger than what you'll see for the, like say, the SATOCs, and I say larger, but typically it's like a $10 million and smaller projects. Again, typically it's a design build that, you know, so one thing too that's important about these is that it's design build, but say a prime contractor can go in and submit a proposal. They don't necessarily have to do the design work in-house, but they have a design firm that they work with to design anything that the government wants. The things that the government is looking at in order, and actually in all these really, is your past performance, your general experience, safety, and other valuation factors. The bigger the dollar value of these contracts, you know, the more and more this becomes really important. MACs basically are overseen by the Air Force. Now with this one, this MATOCs, the multiple award task order these are for the real large projects. So you think of say a hangar or a brand new hospital or something like that, but you're talking like the 50 to 100, $200 million projects. These are the contracts that are used. Same process though. The government will pick 5 large prime contractors who all have capacity to deliver on these large projects. Again, design build, the government wants them to, do the design, do the build. They know that design build process is a way in which it helps the government save money. And then it's the same thing as far as past performance, experience, safety, valuation factors, all of that really comes into play. And again, one thing I'll mention with MATOCs especially, but even the MAX, if a construction project has a value of over $4 million, so that say individual task order. So you have a task order to say, okay, we need you to go build this building, and the value of it's going to be, we estimate at $12 million. The contractor needs to submit a small business participation plan. So they basically need to have a plan that identifies small business, woman-owned, veteran, AA hub zone, so that they can meet the goals on that contract. So again, it's anything over 4 million in construction. So again, it creates good subcontracting opportunities for smaller companies. And MATOCs predominantly just are used by the Army. If you think of Army, it's Army Corps of Engineers. Now this last one here, this performance-oriented construction activities, POCA, is a nice contract, and it's designed basically to really help a small business grow. And so it's a single award contract. And basically the way that works is that they typically begin with a small project. Then the government customer will see how you perform on that. If everything goes as planned, then they'll issue a task order for typically something incrementally larger. So over the course of those, say, 5 years, is that the contracts will get larger and larger and larger. So it might start out with a small project of, say, $50,000, and then the next one you get might be, say, 150,000, and then it grows like that. So that's the way in which the government likes to see them participating to help grow smaller business. Again, there's no guarantees of future projects after the initial project. Again, it's if you go and that first project that you have, you go and you mess that project up, then you're not going to get new projects awarded to you down the road. So that's performance is really, really important. So here's some other types of IDIQs. I don't think really think about them like this, but they are. And so multiple award schedule, a GSA contract. I'm going to talk a little bit more of these. And then you have what are called government-wide acquisition contracts, GWACs. Both of these are actually managed by the GSA. So with the multiple award schedules, it's a people you hear about it, people say, hey, I got a GSA contract, and of course there's multiple awards, and basically anybody at any time can apply to get a schedule, and you can actually go in and look at all the companies that have a schedule. One thing though is that this is different in the say like these Max and MATOCs where they pick 5 companies. With multiple award schedules, that could be that could be 50, 100 on a specific schedule. But again, there's no guarantees of sales. Basically, all it means is that you've obtained a schedule, and basically, when you obtain a schedule, a contract, what it is you'll then submit and create like catalog of, say, these are the products that I'm offering to the government. These are the prices that I'm offering at. So then the government buyers can see that and then just order from that. But again, there's no guarantees of sales. So even though you've gone through this lengthy process to obtain the contract, you still need to go out and market your products or services to government buyers so that they know that you have a schedule, and it might make it easier for them to buy that product or service that they need off of the schedule versus going through a formal solicitation process. So again, this last part, contractors holders must aggressively promote their offerings. I mean, that's key. One thing about this third bullet point here, lengthy process, obtain a contract. Lengthy process means that it may take you several months to put together all your pricing and put together your catalog and all that. And then once you submit that to the GSA, it has not changed over, say, the last 5 years, where it's taking 18 months to 2 years for them to approve you in getting a schedule, or to say, sorry, we're not going to give you a schedule. So that's one thing that we kind of coach people on, is that, if you're in business for the long haul, it's going to take 2 years, but in 2 years, you'll have that schedule, and you can really generate some success with it. But there's no guarantees. In fact, you have to meet a minimum of $25,000 in sales by year 3 of having a schedule. Otherwise, you'll be removed from the schedule. So government-wide acquisition contracts. So these are the contracts that the government, for the most part, purchases information technology services. So government buys literally billions of dollars worth of IT services every year, and they're doing it through this IDIQ vehicle, GWACs. Again, there's multiple awards. So there's talk a little bit about them, but there's literally thousands of companies that have these GWACs. Again, there's no guarantee of sales. So again, you need to develop a business development plan, a sales plan geared specifically to the government or to a specific agency in order for them to understand that you have what they need, etc. And again, just like a GSA schedule, if you have a GWAC, you must aggressively promote their offerings. The misperception people think about a GSA schedule or a GWAC is that once you have it, you're golden and people are just going to come to you, and it doesn't work that way. You still need to go out and make sales calls. So these are the GWACs. There's actually 3. I've got 4 here, but one of them's got a little asterisk that I'll talk about. But the 8A Stars 3 GWAC is the largest pool, actually, of all these GWACs. There's like 1,200 companies that have a 8A Stars GWAC. And the way these GWACs work is these contracts basically go for, I believe it's 5 years plus a 3-year extension. So, and then, so if you don't have one, say now, you're going to have to wait for that cycle to go through those 8 years before you can get on a schedule. So, knowing that, there's great opportunities for you to sell to a GWAC holder as a subcontract, because it's pretty common that not everybody has all the the technology in-house that maybe the client needs, so they need to subcontract some of the work out. So it's gonna be a great opportunity for you to sub to a GWAC holder, and it's a great way too for you to just kind of, learn how to sell to the government just by being a sub to a prime. This Alliant 2 group, these are the really large companies. And so this is the smallest list. There's only like 40 companies, but these are the multi-billion-dollar IT firms that are in the Alliant 2. Vets 2 is again veteran-owned firms. Polaris is a new GWAC that was actually supposed to go in effect this year, but there's been some protests filed against it. So there's a delay, but it's specifically for woman-owned small businesses. And they actually opened it up to veterans too. So I guess it was a way in which to increase the number of veterans that could be on a GWAC, since the period for applying for the Vets 2 is currently closed. So things to remember. All these IDIQs, they're multiple years. Typically, again, they're 1 year base and then 4 more years, so a 5-year. Again, the GWACs are slightly different, and where it's a 5-year plus a 3-year option, but that's the way they are. And then again, what you'll see is set aside. So you'll oftentimes see that there'll be a MAC contract for construction, as an example, that this MAC is only for, say, woman-owned businesses, or it's only for 8A firms. So that's a great way to kind of reduce the competition. Same thing when you look at those GWACs, you can see that one is specifically just for veterans, one's for 8As, and once they get through this protest on Polaris, it'll then predominantly open some doors for a lot of woman-owned businesses. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, is that it creates good subcontracting opportunities if you don't have a IDIQ, because again, most of these companies that have them are prime contractors that they need to sub out some of the work that is part of the project in order to deliver whatever it is the client wants. You still need to compete. Again, you still need to put together a winning proposal in order to be awarded one of these IDIQs, and especially if you get, as an example, these GSA schedule or their GSA GWACs. Again, you still need to go out and knock on doors, make sales calls so that they know who you are, what are your core strengths, etc. So that way they can place an order with you. Again, there's little guarantee of sales. In some cases, like the MAX, the MATOCs, the construction ones, that's pretty much a given that there'll be projects that you'll be doing. So, but the little guarantee of sales is more so in when you get into the GSA scheduled GWAC world. With the construction ones, as long as you are performing and doing what needs to be done, there'll be a lot of repeat business for you there. As you see in this last one, performance is key to success. So CPARS is contractor performance reporting system, and SPARS are supplier performance risk system. So after you actually complete a project or supply something, your company is rated. And so government buyers can actually go look up your CPARS or SPARS to see how you performed in the past. So it's really important that if you get one of these contracts, that you perform the best that you possibly can, and you can get really high ratings for these systems, because they will definitely take a look at them. With that, please open it up for some questions. Our next topic is going to be an introduction to the SBIR STTR program on May 31st. So a couple days after the Memorial Day weekend. So again, you'll receive these slides and then also a link to the webinar so you want to listen to it again. But again, IDIQs are actually, for the most part, really good, especially in the construction ones are really good. If you can get one of those, they can really help you establish a really good reputation with a government customer that you can leverage for many, many years. It's a little harder, you know, in the GSA world, because again, you can get the contract, but then you still need to go out and aggressively market your company to government buyers. So with that, I'm not seeing any questions in our chat or Q&A. Here's something. Somebody asks, POCA sounds like a good pathway. How does one find out more about who holds them and how to find agencies using them? And that is through either sam.gov or USA Spending. You'll be able to find that information. POCAs aren't used as much though as you know, the Macs, but they are used. They are out there, but they're not used as much. You know, the everybody's risk averse, government included, so they'd rather go with a Mac than a POCA, because then they've got, say, 4 or 5 companies that they're working with. But the Army Corps of Engineers is the one who uses POCAs probably more than anybody. All right, with that, thank you very much for joining us today, and then we'll see you in a couple weeks.